What's going on? Great White Stoke coming at you from the Great White North. Here's some footage from my summer in Seward. We're on the road, traveling through the Yukon, doing a VR to RawDog the Tard and his video regarding universal health care, the cost of health insurance and health care, and blah, blah, blah. Another socialist commie ideas. First off, I don't know how you go from being a veteran to some knee-jerk liberal socialist commie with all this like universal health care. I mean, first off, like what world are you living in? Do you even realize like what year it is? And like the subjects that you talk about, right? Socialism, right? All of these like social things really only work in Nordic countries where the population, the culture, the ideology, the makeup, the general makeup, if you will, is 99% homogenous. It doesn't work with multicultural setups. Secondly, it only works in Nordic countries. If you go anywhere else south of the border or where it's warm, it doesn't work. Look at Cuba, look at Brazil, look at Venezuela, all of it. You look anywhere where it's socialized medicine, it's not a Nordic country, and it's crap. It's crap, man. Okay? Secondly, health insurance. Same government that will look at you in your face without blinking and lie to you to send healthy men and women to die in some far off desert wasteland so that Dick Cheney, the Bushes, and all these other elite faggots can make money, right? Looks at you and says, buy health insurance, and you're just like, yeah, I buy health insurance because RawDog is a good American, wants cheap medical care. Oh my God. Why is it so expensive? Because of all of the layers in between you and the goddamn doctor, bro. Right? When you got health insurance and you need something done, like your appendix removed, you go to Kaiser, that bill's $25,000, and you wake up fresh out of anesthesia with some like rep there wanting to know how you gonna pay for this. Well, that happened to me, and you know what I told her? I ain't paying for it. Okay? There's millions of people streaming over this border getting way more health care, way more out of the system via these programs, right? They ain't expected to pay, therefore, I'm not going to pay, right? So go take a long walk off a short pier, Kaiser. What happened? Man, I never heard from them again, right? Because they're getting so much money, it ain't even funny, all right? And I can tell you from experience of having worked in the medical field and then said, screw buying health insurance, I'm just going to pay out of pocket. And let's get down to it, right? You got dental insurance and you need an implant. Whoo, man, you get capped on like how much you can like, actually get done with your health insurance, which is why you always see people like doing it at the end of the year so they can get in and get some work done in December and then come back in a few weeks and max out the rest of it in January so they can get just some basic bitch tier dental work done, right? You want an implant? Oh, that's cosmetic. Insurance ain't gonna pick that up. But unless you got like, the real top tier plan, and then that's like $6,000, okay? I just go to my dentist, who's the best in town, and I say, hey, dentist, screw the government, screw health insurance, and the majority of all of your health, your medical professionals are going to agree with you. They absolutely loathe these insurances. Loathe them, okay? They'd much rather you just, take a passing interest in being healthy than being morbidly obese with some chronic condition, but you got my health care. Gotta watch your sugars. No, I go to my dentist and I say, hey, I need an implant. What's it gonna cost, bro? And I get the post and the implant, right? I get the post and the tooth for $3,000, right? Half of what it's gonna cost me if I go through the insurance companies, because everyone's got to get a piece, right? Just like when you sell a house, right? You got the title insurance, and then you got the real estate agent, then you got the inspector, and then the appraiser. You got all these people getting nibbles, right? Getting nibbles off your property that you are trying to sell, right? Then the government says, oh, you got to use a real estate. Well, you've been told. You don't have to, but you've been told. Anyway, right? Let's take it up a notch. Eye surgery, right? Right? Organs of sensing. Eyeballs. Right? Has anyone do you know what it costs to get just some basic bitch LASIK surgery? And you got not a crazy prescription? Right? Let me do you one. Okay. What did it cost me to go to Beverly Hills and get both eyes operated on in some really intense surgery? Take a guess. Okay, 1, 2, 3, final answer. Okay, this is what it costs to get intense eye surgery done in Beverly Hills, California by a board-certified doctor. $4,000. Okay, what would that cost with healthcare insurance? Probably 5 times that. And even then, they would probably say, oh, that's a cosmetic surgery, so we're not going to cover it, right? So the next time you start thinking to yourself and pondering, why does healthcare cost so much? Why does health insurance cost so much? Because it's designed to. It's designed to extract as much money as you will give before you'll just say, I know, right? They want to get to the point where you're on your knees and still paying it. And that, my friends, is the sucker mentality that our government is playing on its own citizens, okay? Only suckers pay for health insurance, all right? I'm going to leave you with a comment that my fresh off the boat Taiwanese girlfriend told me years ago, and I'm going to slow it down because it's very important to the current situation and how Americans should be thinking, okay? She looked at me and she said, Xiaopan, that was her Chinese name for me, Xiaopan. Xiaopan, this is not your country anymore. And the way to get ahead is to be poor on paper and rich in the pocket. You want to look poor on paper, but be cash rich. Because frankly, only American suckers give a shit about a tax income bracket, right? We've got people here in America that are like, man, I want to make really high wages of taxable income so that I can just give more money to our Israeli compromised government. Because that's the smart thing to do, right? Jeez Louise. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Hope you guys are doing well. Seriously, take care of your health. If you have the ability, get some raw milk and transform your life, right? Transform your life. And that's coming from a dude who's smoking people half his age in feats of athleticism and in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. All right? Later.